And I went. Well, just like, I'm gonna hear some later. I started, I just like, oh, what? What is?
Okay.
I'd like to follow this.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Ali. Thank you. A couple spots left, Gary, in the square, but unless you want to land back there, that's fine.
Got a new addition there. Well, we're sitting here, that's what we used to sit here over there. You were. Audrey moved in and you. I'm Val. I see.
Okay. Welcome. It's good to see you. Hopefully you had a good Holy Week at Easter. You're obviously here, so you didn't leave for spring break, but as far as school kids' spring break. Or if you did, you're back already. I always wonder if Easter attendance is less when spring break is right after Easter, because people, you know, they leave that, they got that weekend, so they head out right away. But we had good worship for Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter. Thought it was great. I think we had around 800 people on Easter Sunday. That's between all three. That's not including online stuff.
How many?
I did 800.
Oh,
Yeah, it's spread out. It was interesting. Usually we have to set up chairs at one of the services, or, you know, that was pre-COVID, but this time everybody was pretty evenly dispersed between all three, spread it out.
Were they at the early telephone service? Did you?
We had 30, that's about normal, about 30.
You do that with the other churches?
No, that's just us. Yeah. And it's a mix of diehard SLC people and neighborhood people come out.
Oh.
And they also come out we do a service out there on Memorial Day
Okay.
weekend, so. And that, in fact, that reminds me, that's coming up, I gotta get that figured out. Or Jonathan has to get it figured out, because I'm gonna be gone. So anyway, great Holy Week and Easter, yeah. Coming up, you won't want to miss the concert on the 12th. I've been listening to it, organ piano concert. It's really gonna be fabulous. It's a lovely potluck before on April 12th. The next day, we have the memorial service for Andy Bergsagel. That Saturday, and then we have onward and upward into the Sundays of Easter. So when it comes to what we're planning to do for this class with my sabbatical, I think Jonathan wants to take it on for at least a month and do like 4 sessions. And then if you're really good to him, maybe he'll. But I'm just worried about his workload, but that's kind of the plan at this point. We thought we had some retired clergy who are more, still doing work a little bit, but that didn't pan out. So we do have a number of retired clergy in our congregation, and we're planning to have each of them preach once while I'm gone. So that'll be good. And then, so I think BJ's gonna cover most things. So, that's what we're thinking at this point, that we'll keep going, and BJ will jump in there and, facilitate the ongoing journey through Exodus. I'm sure you won't be done by the time I get back. I'm leaving for the hard part. I think it's later on. So those are some things coming up as far as, current events. It looks like with the 5 Sunday month, and Easter, I think we were like 20 grand behind, and I think we got it down to 4 behind at the end of last month, so that we made a good dent in that. Yeah. Attendance Easter Sunday. Oh, with online. Oh, maybe, I've been telling people wrong. That it's $875 for Easter attendance with online, which was 250 people. So it was 27 sunrise, 123 first, 242 second, and then 225 third. So 617 in person. Cause I was like, that's what we used to get, is around 800, 900 for Easter. So we would have been much fuller and had to set up chairs for that. So anyway, but that's an update on stuff. Any other stuff from you guys for the good of the order? Linda's great to have you here and you're on break, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, that's great.
I could be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could be here today. Yeah.
I'll just say about the concert on Friday night.
Yes.
It is on the Bremerton, on the
Bremerton.
community orchestra, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
And it's on their website.
Cool. So that's good that they're plugging it.
Yeah.
That's really great. And it's not this Friday, it's a week from
Next Friday.
Okay, well, with that, I think it's time to get into the Exodus. So let's say a prayer here and we will get at it. Gracious God, let this time be fruitful and helpful in our faith walk and journey as we celebrate that even though we live in a broken world and our old Adam and Eve still haunts us at times, that we in Christ are free. Through your grace and forgiveness, you have defeated our sin individually and corporately, and death and our old adversary as well on Easter Sunday. And so we give thanks that we live in that promise and freedom. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so where we left off, the last plague has happened. All the firstborn have died in Egypt that didn't have the blood of the lamb on the doorposts. And we had explored in fair depth. The connection of the Passover, as it's talked about here in Exodus, and what Jesus was doing and his and is it a new Passover? And we explored some of those themes and connections that I think are there. But as long as we understand that it's a New Testament or a new covenant, the one that Jeremiah speaks about in Jeremiah 31. So it's very different than the old, covenant, but nonetheless, you know, John says that Jesus is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. A lot of scholars like to say we're so familiar with that term because it comes to us from the Gospel of John and from the letters of John, and then the Apocalypse of John, the book of Revelation, that we don't question it, but because usually it wasn't a lamb that was sacrificed for this to atone for the sins of the people. But the lamb here in the Passover, the blood of the lamb caused the angel of death to pass over. And so it is interesting, though, then that John calls Jesus the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. And even though a lot of scholars wonder about, I've even had a Lutheran scholar say, I have no idea what that Lamb of God means. And I'm like, well, I think it's pretty clear with the Exodus story here, and that he takes away the sin of the world. So anyway, I think that's a beautiful metaphor for what Jesus did for us. And we see that kind of right, you know, it's hard not to be thinking about that metaphor as we go through this Exodus now. So that's a little bit of you know, just to get us back, since we've been gone for 2 weeks, where we're at. So I think we're at verse 33. The Pharaoh says, get out of here. I'm done. And he even says, be gone and bless me also. You know, that's got to be a video of some kind. Yes, please.
Does that mean also, or could that also mean, leave me alone, no more of these?
Exactly. I think that's exactly what that means. Like, bless me by getting out of here and
Yeah.
coming back. Yeah.
Anything I can do,
Yeah.
I'll see.
So the Egyptians were urgent with the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we shall all be dead. If this keeps going, you know, what next? We're all gonna die. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls being bound up in their cloaks on their shoulders. The people of Israel had also done as Moses told them, for they had asked the Egyptians for silver and gold jewelry and for clothing. Yeah, so we're at chapter 12, verse 35, 36. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they asked. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. So paybacks are and the people of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, now. I know they were there 430 years. They came as the families of 12 of the 12 sons, you know. How many people would that be? Let's just say hundreds for sake of argument. So a lot of people who do the math say, even in 430 years, there's no way they could have gotten to 500,000 men and probably about 3 million people. Just so you know, people ask these questions. I really don't, I don't even think about it. I just, whatever, that's what it says. However, one interesting explanation, and I like this, is that because it gets at the theology of this story and the way the people of Israel understood this story. We've already said that when they celebrate the Passover, they don't say, when our ancestors were in Egypt, what do they say? When we were in Egypt. Well, if you go to the time of Solomon, David and Solomon, most, again, critical scholars would say there were 3 million people by then. And so maybe this is a way of, if this gets written down, like written down, later, which again, you have to accept more critical theory around how the Old Testament came together, then it's like their way of saying, we all were there. And I think that's cool, regardless of how many people there were. But just, I mean, I don't know if your Bibles have, your study Bibles make any comments about the number of people there were. If they do, you can let me know. If they don't, that's fine. But I just, yeah, please, Sharon. Yeah,
Well, possibly, a lot of the people who left, a lot of those women were pregnant,
yeah.
so there you go.
Well, we're told that they really multiplied greatly. And I know some of us, when we first started, said, well, why did God wait so long? 400, remember how we talked about that? Why? Well, where was God? He was multiplying the people. We can't forget about that. So anyway, like I say, I just didn't want to not mention it. You should be aware of these things. Yes, Bill?
There's a note in the Lutheran Study Bible on, verse 37.
Yeah.
It says 600,000 men. Commentators calculate that there were more than 2 million Israelite men, women, and children. The number of men 20 years of age and older at Sinai was 603,550. That's according to numbers. And there were 22,000 male Levites a month, old and upward.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Because we'll hear these numbers around 600,000 as they get into the wilderness too. So that they get repeated. And it's also then very interesting. So let's keep going. And mixed multitude. So who was this mixed multitude? Did you know that it appears that it wasn't just the Hebrews that left Egypt? This mixed multitude. We go to Leviticus, father was an Egyptian. So there's some possibility that there were some Egyptians who left with them. Yeah. And I think that's kind of cool to think about.
Think about the people remaining, thinking, now who's gonna build all these pyramids?
Yeah, I know. I think I like the chances of these folks better than ours. Yeah. And one of them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds, and they baked unleavened cakes of the dough that they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. So that's the whole concept of, in Deuteronomy, as we hear the law reiterated, you shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days you shall eat it with unleavened bread. The bread of affliction, for you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, that all the days of your life you may remember the day when you came out of the land of Egypt. Now, this is speaking to a whole new generation. This is after the 40 years of wandering in the desert. So, but they're still saying, when you were taken out of Egypt. These people weren't taken out of Egypt. They weren't even born yet, a lot of them. But yet they were, and that's such an important concept to get at. So, all right, good. The time that the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It was a night of watching by the Lord to bring them out of the land of Egypt. So the same night is a night of watching kept to the Lord by all the people of Israel throughout their generations. So on this Passover night is a night of watching. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder, let's see what my little guy says on that. Why did it jump? Don't I have it on my, yes, I do. It should have been there. This study Bible that is not in any way like a liberal hypercritical study Bible, says that about the numbers this way. The numbers given here and elsewhere in the story of the Exodus and wilderness wanderings are logistically problematic. And then actually there's a little article here. Do you want to read that? Sure, let's do it. Large numbers in the Exodus and wilderness journey. In the census following the Exodus from Egypt, the number of Israelite males older than 20 years of age, 603, 550 at the second census. These figures imply that the total population between 2 and 3 million. While these figures are difficult to reconcile with geography of Canaan and the archaeological record, several solutions are possible. Several passages present challenges to the large figures of the book of Numbers, presents Israel as the least numerous nation in Canaan at the time of the conquest. So that's after the 40 years they come in, you don't hear about them having that many people. So that's one of the challenges. This means that if the figures or numbers are to be taken literally, that the total population of these 8 nations would have to range from 16 to 24 million people, roughly the 2010 population of Florida or Texas, respectively. The size of Canaan, however, is closer to that of New Jersey, and either than either of these states. Archaeological evidence does not indicate that enough cities and towns existed to support population of that size. Further considerations help put the problem into perspective. The Israelites left Egypt with about 600,000 men on foot besides dependents. God did not provide the Israelites with manna until roughly 45 days after, meaning that 2 to 3 million people required a different food source for 45 days. If a family of 5 sacrificed 1 lamb or some other animal each day to feed themselves, the Israelites would have slaughtered 120,000 lambs each day, meaning the Israelites would have had to leave Egypt with 5.4 million animals. Even if they ate meat on 1/3 of the time for 15 days, they still would have to slaughter 40,000 animals per day and leave Egypt with 1.8 million animals. So, this is what we do. This is, human brain, the manna also compounds the issue. Finally, Old Testament, it hints that 2 to 3 million is unlikely. Goes on, propose solutions, that's what we want. According to most frequently cited proposal, the Hebrew word for 1,000, Elef, may also mean tribe or clan. If so, the numbers may simply refer to military units, which corresponds to the aim of the census to determine the number of males eligible for Israel's army. The chapters and numbers that record the census then use Elef as both number and a term for a military unit. However, the only examples where Elef might plausibly refer to something other than a number have nothing to do with counting. Moreover, in other passages that do involve counting, the term does not have any other meaning than mathematical tabulation. All right, you with it? So they propose one thing and say that's probably not a good thing. Another proposal claims that the author of Numbers deliberately exaggerated the number associated with the Exodus and the wilderness wanderings. In other words, they represent literary hyperbole. Comparisons with other ancient Semitic texts of similar genres validate this suggestion. Ancient Sumerian, so it says, well, this was a common thing in other. What's that?
How long that happened?
Yeah, so, let's see, so that's all they do, Michael Eisner. He's a pretty big scholar. Given this, the hyperbolic use of numbers in the Old Testament anchors the biblical text to the writing conventions of the time, an argument that favors their authenticity as truly ancient documents. The writer of these accounts thus could have used a known literary device to draw attention to the might of Yahweh, the King of all kings, earthly or divine, in delivering his people Israel. So that the part that article adds to us is that in lots of writings and lots of other cultures and, nations around Israel, this was very common way to say, look at how great the people of Israel are and their God. So they weren't tied up into the literal numbers. They knew that wasn't a literal number. It's kind of
It's
like
like a well-understood exaggeration.
a well-understood exaggeration.
There you go.
So we might get up that, well, so it's just like maybe this is not a good similarity, but in Genesis, we hear that God made the world in 7 days, but days can be time period. That it doesn't necessarily mean 20. And now whether or not you go with the 7-day actual 24-hour, 7-day creation or not, that's a whole nother issue. We already worked on that a long time ago, but it's the same thing. They knew that these numerical units weren't like literal. They didn't take it that way. That was just like, Noah lived to be 1,500 years old or whatever. We talked back then that's a way to say how great he was. So, but, ready to move on? Okay, all right. The watching part is what I was interested in, the night of watching.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's definitely time to get out of Egypt.
Say again, Doug.
It's definitely time to get out of Egypt.
Definitely time to get out of Egypt. It is time. English down, I don't want that. I just want all, no, I want Bible, all text and all passages, and I want night of watching. I don't know if that comes up anywhere else. No.
That's the point where he has the watchful eye.
Yes. At the same night the word of the Lord came. Isaiah 20 concerning, one is calling to me from Seir, watchman, what time of the night? Watchman. No. So here's our passage. Yeah, so you don't get that, one reason you don't get it, because I have an extra letter term, there we go. Yeah, so in the Old Testament, that's the only night of watching only occurs there. Which is interesting. I don't want fussy. Let's get over here. Yeah, it's the only place I have watching. Yeah, interesting. Well, very interesting. You got a deal on that?
Well, the term watching can also mean vigil
Mm,
and observance.
yes, that's correct. I remember reading that now. So, it's a vigil. And look what we did on Good Friday. We had a vigil here. Where we had people praying all through the night.
Well, that last verse too says that they're keeping visual to honor the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't,
Yeah,
they were just looking out for each other.
A
They were
night of
honoring the Lord.
vigil. Yes.
Reminds me of Gethsemane.
Reminds you of Gethsemane. Yeah, yes. Yeah. It's sacred ground and a sacred moment. And so, Jesus says, stay with me and watch, right?
So I know what you're saying.
And yeah, watch with me. And of course, they fall asleep, but nonetheless. Yes, please.
I'm thinking of summer camps where we've had, like one time up in the Black Hills, we had about 90 kids that came.
Yeah,
And you have more than one counselor to keep track, and you're taking groups and sectioning them off. And so the whole thing was amazing.
yeah.
So
We
you gotta
need
have what you want.
these things. We talked about that with the Lord's Supper and Passover last week, so, yeah. All generations. Okay, ready for the Passover? Back to the Passover? Because we already heard about this one, so. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the statute of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it, but every slave that is bought for money may eat of it after you have circumcised him. No foreigner or hired worker may eat of it. So there's still, even though there's this group with them, a mixed multitude, this Passover is for the Hebrews. It shall be eaten in one house. You shall not take any of the flesh outside of the house, and you shall not break any of its bones. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. So again, they have to become Hebrews or Israelites, I guess you could say, if you go down the road a little bit. Then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who sojourns among you. That is kind of interesting, isn't it? That there's provision made for people, you know, that are sojourning or, you know, a stranger. I wonder what that Hebrew is. Now, when you heard that the lambs should not, none of its bones be broken, anybody make any connections there?
It's gotta be Jesus. But does that have something to do with the marrow and the bones with as it gets the blood forming?
Good question. I kind of just took it as the lamb should be perfect, you know, and.
Well, and this is why they didn't break Jesus.
Right, so they came in, I think it's John that tells us that they came to break his legs because that would speed his death.
Yeah.
They did that to,
Crucifixion,
they
you
did
have,
that to the two, crucified next to him, but they didn't need to break Jesus' legs because he was already dead.
yes, yeah. And the reason that they do that is because the way you survive, you suffocate in crucifixion. That's how you die. And you have to push yourself up with your feet to get a breath, and then you come back down and you can't breathe. So, and if your legs are broken, you can't do that. So,
I was just gonna say, going back to all those people, maybe the bones of people were also enhanced by these sort of slaves and servants that came with them.
absolutely. I think we have to really, as we go through this now, go, wow, there was a way, even though God chose this particular family and these tribes and these people, that other people were brought in.
Because they talk about.
That's right. You know, it's not a pleasant way to come into the people, but, yeah. And so what are they asking when we jump way ahead to the beginnings of the church? And Gentiles are believing in Jesus. What's the big issue? They better get circumcised. So they're being really true to what's being said here. The only problem is Paul says that if you get circumcised in order to be part of the Christian community, Christ died for no reason. So it's a deal breaker. You add circumcision, you destroy faith. And of course, Lutherans we look at that as making a global statement. We look at that as making a global statement about the law and, you know, and adding anything to the gospel. Other Christians do not. They, you know, like the Latter-day Saint folks I've had conversations with, they say that when Paul says you can't add anything to faith, that they're just talking about the dead works of Judaism, not the new Book of Mormon. And so, but we as Lutherans say, it doesn't matter whether you add the 10 Commandments, circumcision, if you put yes, you gotta believe, and you just destroyed the whole thing. You know, the gospel plus something equals nothing. And, you know, we're not, we don't apologize for that, because that's what we see Paul saying, and actually that's what we see. We're not perfect, that's right, thankfully. But yeah, I think it is cool, Linda, that we've got an ability to bring in people, even though circumcision was a requirement. Now it's faith. that's the way we're gonna become children of Abraham, is through faith. Yes, Paul?
So at this time, when they circumcised all the males, this was a good time to be a woman.
Yes. it was. And there is a few benefits.
And the other
They
side.
didn't go to war and they
Yeah.
didn't, you know.
And the other side of it is, if you're gonna have anybody circumcised, you would want the experts
Yes.
to do it. And they,
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. Give you a hearty amen to that. It certainly made them think about whether they really wanted to do this, right?
We could talk about this a little more.
All right, let's move on. No, it's always awkward when we talk about it. No way around it. But it is cool that they make provision for that. All right. All the people of Israel did just as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, and on that very day, the Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their hosts. Okay,
Pastor Bill,
please.
one thing about the circumcision, about what God is doing, he is creating an actual nation
Yes,
that have clear identification who they are.
yes,
So when you mix up all the others and what's going to go forward and all the other things they're gonna run into, you still know definitely who is the Jewish person
yes,
versus the non.
yes.
So I think that is one of the reasons that this is put in place.
I'm sure it functioned that way, for sure, and as did the Sabbath. What was one of the big marks? You knew the Israelite people because they rested on the seventh day. So they had definite distinguishing traits in that regard as well. Of course, that's what becomes a problem is the mixing. There's this tension, isn't there, between outreach to these other cultures and nations, and they come in, but then also, then they start to blend Yahweh with other gods, and that will be the big problem that people will have when they get into the land, is going after other gods. And in fact, I mean, if you look at Ezra and Nehemiah, which is after the Babylonian exile, the counsel there is, you have a foreign wife, divorce her, goodbye. Because they were so hyper concerned that any other cultures are gonna bring in the worship of other gods, which is what got them in the first trouble in the first place. But then, by the time Jesus comes around, they're like, no Gentiles, period. Even though there's a lot of scriptures that say, I've come to be a light to the Gentiles, all this, they kind of forgot about that. Because they were so, we're not going to get corrupted. And so when Jesus starts saying that he's come for the Gentiles, they want to throw him off a cliff. So there's this tension between outreach and then the dangers of that.
But they're also unique in that they're a massive group of people, a new nation on the move.
Yes,
And whereas everybody else has got their own territory well staked out for a long time.
yeah,
So that sets them apart.
sure.
It would even make it more important to kind of go with the group for this particular time of the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, now we're gonna go back to the firstborn. And I did a lot more research on that, and I can't say that I got it any better figured out, truthfully. The Lord said to Moses, consecrate to me all the firstborn. Whatever is the first to open the womb among the people of Israel, both of man and beast, is mine. So there's this first fruits, God, the firstborn is precious to God and belongs to God. And so we're gonna hear that if it's an animal, it's supposed to be sacrificed to the Lord. And if you don't do that, you have, like if you have a donkey or something, because you redeem that donkey with a lamb. So the lamb takes the place of the donkey, so you can keep using the donkey. Here, we'll go into it. Here we go.
Well,
That-
what about women? And the girl was the first one.
Right, I think we're just talking about the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this,
Yeah, so.
this says males.
Males, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Both males and
Oh,
a beast.
yeah.
So this one would be Ish,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, no, this is, mankind, oh, interesting, becoming, that's Automa. Hmm. So in this thing, autonomy can be, is really for humanity, so, but as we go on, I think it applied to males in particular. Okay. Moses said to the people, remember this day in which you came out, from Egypt, out of the house of slavery, for by a strong hand the Lord brought you out from this place. No leavened bread shall be eaten. Today, in the mouth of Abib, you are going out, in the month, sorry. You are going out, and when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. By the way, they're the ones who owned Jerusalem first, the Jebusites. That's about as far back as we go. Which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. You shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. No leavened bread shall be seen with you. And no leaven shall be seen with you in all your territory. You are aware that that's true even to this day in Israel. All the hotels shut down. They have to clean their entire kitchens. They're all stainless steel, so they have to get every little bit, anything that might have put some leaven in the air. They clean everything. Everything shuts down. And if you're in Israel, you got to find a non-kosher hotel, and there aren't many. They're not very nice. I can speak from experience. I think it was in that hotel we got stuck in the elevator. I'm sure that was it. You shall tell, let's see, in all your territories. So you shall tell your son on that day, it is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. So there you go. You tell your son, and so this is for everybody to say. It's like, so this happens to you. And it shall be to you as a sign on your hand and as a memorial between your eyes, that the law of the Lord may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand the Lord has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep this statute at its appointed time from year to year. So we get the description on having the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover. So these go together to celebrate this event.
Yeah.
Didn't the priests wear some kind of thing on their head that was a reminder of?
I guess a phylactery, is it called a phylactery?
Yeah, something like that.
And so, the concept in some of the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic, expressions of Judaism today, they'll have at certain time, I don't know if they all do, or just the priests, but they'll have this little box that floats out here in front of them, and it's got a little miniature, Torah in it.
Yeah, isn't that described as they start doing the tabernacle and all of the priestly clothing? something
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think so, and I forget that. I've seen just some, folks have them, and you have that, and I think there's something with the curls too in their hair. I don't know, are you guys aware of the controversy in Israel right now when it comes to the ultra-Orthodox Jewish people? Any of you hear about all of this? You understand what goes on? So, there are, just like there's different expressions of the Lutheran tradition, there are different expressions of Judaism today. There's Reform Jewish community. They have synagogues, and that's quite a big number of, but they're much more relaxed. They do Passover and they do some of the main festivals, but you know, it's more live an ethical life type of thing and, you know, do this and and then you have the conservative, they're called, that's what they're called. I don't know what that word means to say, but they're more strict to all the dietary laws and keeping everything. And then you have the Orthodox, which even more is strict, I guess you could say. And then you have the ultra, what they sometimes call ultra. Now, they have different words for these things, but I remember when my daughter was at UW and, you know, she had to take a few various classes and she ended up getting in a Judaism class, which was cool because she learned a lot and we talked a lot about it. And but anyway, in Israel, so the ultra, let's just call them ultra Orthodox. That's not what they call themselves, but that's what we call them, just to make sense of it, I guess. That may be a slam against them. I don't know. I hope I'm not. I don't mean to do that if I am, but the folks that have the hats and the garb and the women are dressed very conservatively and they are that way and very traditional when it comes to gender roles. So one thing you should know is that those hats name the kind of group within that ultra-Orthodox kind of Judaism, where they came from. Have you seen the Russian looking ones? Well, that's because they came from Russia. So each of the hats name their tradition, where they come from. But in Israel, this group, they do not work. They are on welfare. They get free everything. And their job is to study the Torah and guess who's having a lot of babies? And that group is growing.
Okay.
Growing, because, you know, they don't have anything else. No, I'm just kidding. But because they're very traditional, women do not have a job. They take care of the home and they have babies. And that's true in a lot of cultures, whether it be Islam or in the Southern Hemisphere and the Hispanic community. These are the cultures, by the way, that are going to be going on in 50 to 100 years. Ours is going to be gone because our birth rates are about 1 per, so it's really interesting, but I didn't mean to go into that. Maybe I'll have a grandchild someday, we'll see. But nonetheless, in Israel, now that they're at war, guess what? They don't have to fight in the war anymore. So they are, and it's a hugely controversial thing. We're paying for these people who don't work. Yes, we should have a small number of people who are studying the law and doing that, but it's gotten to be growing and big. And, you know, and I first noticed this when I was in Israel and we were there just before the Passover started. That's why we had to stay in that non-kosher hotel. And when we were finishing our tour. And I saw there was huge lines all around Old Jerusalem and outside of Old Jerusalem where our hotel was, just outside the gate. And I'm like, what is going on? What are they doing? Well, they were lining up to get their Passover supplies.
Free.
Yeah, they were not going to the store and buying them. So it is a really huge controversy in Israel right now. It's an inner tension. You see all the people protesting about how the war is being handled, but also that's involved. Because Israel's army is really stretched thin at this point. They got a front up north now that's going to probably happen. And, you know, and of course, what they're doing in Gaza is highly controversial and difficult. Anyway, I don't know solutions for any of that, other than I just thought I'd share that with you. Now you know. Okay, please.
We're
Quick
going
one.
back to here.
Yeah, go back to the Bible. That's good.
The month of ABIB.
Yeah.
What would that be in our understanding?
It is similar time to now because it's Passover time, and this is always in the spring is Passover, so it would be similar to now. Yeah, and I think, didn't it say a couple of weeks ago that it's gonna be named the first month of the year, that they start their year?
I thought Nissan is gonna be
Yeah,
coming up.
you'd have to look up the Jewish calendar, and I'm just not very familiar with it. So, but my assumption is that it's this time of year somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, it's March and April.
March and April, okay, thank you, Paul. I love having folks tuned in, so that's perfect. We can find it all. We don't need AI. So, okay, point time from year to year, are we at verse 11?
Yeah.
When the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites, as he swore to you and your fathers, and shall give it to you, you shall set apart to the Lord all that first opens the womb. So this firstborn thing keeps going. All the firstborn of your animals that are males shall be the Lord's. So that every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb. So redeem here means you don't have to kill the donkey, but you give the lamb in its place. To buy out, to redeem, to be ransomed. With the lamb, or if you will not redeem it, you shall break its neck, so you gotta kill it.
Yeah.
Cause a donkey's a non-kosher animal, so you wouldn't sacrifice it to the Lord.
Plus they have a
It's
dog.
got, yeah, and they had a job, very important job. But it has to lose its life. Every firstborn of man among your sons you shall redeem. And when in time to come your son asks you, what does this mean? You shall say to him, by a strong hand. Okay, so before we go on, again, question.
get in touch with your daughter, tell her hi.
I will, Ally, absolutely. People raise the question, was this meaning that they practiced child sacrifice in Israel? Because it says, firstborn male goes to the Lord, and, but it doesn't say to kill the child. And of course, we have the story going back to in Abraham, that God said to give up your firstborn, and then intervenes and says, no. And that story this is not, I think, the primary purpose of that story, but that story absolutely means that we don't do this in Israel. And in fact, we find huge criticism of the Canaanites who were doing it. And we know that happened in South American, civilizations and this type of thing, trying to pacify the gods and stuff. So there's going to be a different way that the firstborn are redeemed of human beings, of men. And how do you remember how that is? Ethel May?
Well, this one says that of the human firstborns, the firstborn is to be consecrated to the Lord by their life, not by their death.
Right, there you go. So now when we think about the firstborn being, it's that they are especially dedicated to God, consecrated to God. And not by death, but by life.
Does this have any connection to Jesus being the firstborn? And
Okay,
I think I asked you that question because, I got it in a little more detail because in the southern countries, they also ate the flesh and drank the blood.
yeah, right. And so, well, first, thank you for reminding me of that question you asked when it comes to the Lord's Supper. We are not talking about actual human blood and actual human flesh. We are talking about the real, it's like, I guess the English word is kendiasis, two things that are one. This is the real presence of Christ. That's the way Lutherans look at it. I don't know how a priest would answer that with the fact that it actually, a change happens. Like the bread is no longer bread, it's actually, but we, no. So one, that's not the way we look at it. And that's also, there's a great Catholic, well, it's great, but a Catholic scholar, Brian Petrie, who has written extensively on Jesus and the Last Supper. He's got a number of books out on this. Because it appears to us, so the big objection to the Catholic or Lutheran view that this is a sacrament, that this is really Christ's presence, is that a Jewish person would never buy into Jesus saying this is the blood of the new covenant. or that this is his body. Because they were against cannibalism, you know, they just never did, and they would have been like, that would have been no way for them to understand. This Catholic scholar goes back, and by connecting it to the Passover, by connecting it to the manna in the wilderness, when Jesus said, you know, talks about being the bread of life. Anyway, he helps us understand how it wouldn't have been like a mind-blowing thing, what Jesus said at the Last Supper. But nonetheless, I probably don't have time to go into that. That would be good to do though at some point. But now, when you ask Linda, does this have something to do with Jesus being the firstborn? Let's go there. I'm thinking maybe the best, I want to come back to the Micah passage here in a minute, but let's go to first, to just Colossians, to the great Christ hymn. In the beginning of Colossians, I think I put them all in blue, yeah. These are these creeds, these that, you know, when you read it in Greek, it's like, oh, this is a different style, so it's like they're quoting something. They're pulling a creed that was already in existence and putting it in the letter. And so it's like a confession, it's a creed about Christ. So a lot of critical scholars who aren't even Christian believe that's what's happening. So pretty much there's universal agreement that in the New Testament, Paul and others pull in statements of faith that were already in existence and part of common belief in the Christian community, and they pull them in and bring them in. Well, this is one of those. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. Image is really important. Icon, of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. So Jesus is called the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether the thrones or dominions or rulers or authority, all things were created through him and for him. That sounds a little bit like John 1, right? And Genesis. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning. Did I skip the firstborn of the dead? No. For in him all the fullness of God is pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of the cross. I think firstborn of the dead also is somewhere in here. I might, yeah. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. This is another important word. Now I gotta go off on another tangent. So in the controversies about in the 300s, well, actually the first 300 years of Christianity, they bounced back and forth on this, but the Nicene Creed that we had in worship last Sunday was developed to combat heresy by a guy named Arius, who said there was a time when the Son was not. In other words, the Son was a created God of God the Father. So
That's what that says.
and you could look at it that way, depending on how you understand the firstborn. And he is the image of the firstborn of all creation. So yes, this is what Arius quoted, this one. Of course, we have all kinds of other scriptures in the New Testament that help us understand that there was not a time when the Son was not, that he was in the beginning with God. So John 1, in the beginning, the Word was God and he was with God. So for us, he's the firstborn of all creation, but it's really the position. So what the church said is, this is a way to say it's his importance. He is the, so it's not an order thing, it's a role, it's a position, it's a status type of thing. Doug, yeah?
Yeah, I just should mention that in Luke chapter 2, it does talk about Joseph and Mary taking Jesus to the temple shortly after his birth to be consecrated to the Lord.
Yes. So he's consecrated as the firstborn.
Yes.
And so in that respect, yes, he's born in becoming human. Begotten, not made. So that's how the Nicene Creed comes at this. Yes, he was begotten into this world. He was the firstborn in that, but he was not made. He's one substance with the Father.
Yeah.
By
The point is, they were following the law.
Sure,
Joseph and Mary
sure,
following the law,
yeah.
doing that,
yeah.
because he was their firstborn. son.
Yeah, so our understanding of this being applied to Jesus, Linda, is that he's at the right hand of God. He is that part of the Godhead that is preeminent and the greatest importance.
Is it okay that my head is spinning a little bit?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, please, yeah,
This could be part of the predestination discussion in that what is time to God?
yeah,
You know, where order, whatever, God sees it all,
yes.
past, present, and future.
Right, yeah, yeah. Yes, when we get up into heaven and we go there, then we get into those wonderings. So, but, you know, but here's what was at stake with the church is that what we talked about not too long ago.
Where are we?
I'm sorry, we are at we're still back, Ally, in Genesis. But I went to 1 Corinthians chapter 1 is where I was looking. So I bounced ahead to just we're talking about the firstborn concept and, you know, being consecrated to God and this type of thing. So the trouble with saying Jesus was a created being is that then we have more than one God. So this is,
I know.
Yeah.
Bouncing back and forth.
yeah, so Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Echad Adonai, the Lord your God is one. So now we've got a problem. And then also, can Jesus really save us if he's not fully God?
And confusing me.
Yeah. Sorry, Ally, I am confusing everyone. Clearly. I'm confusing everyone. I just thought I'd do that today, but no, I'll post back there. Yes, go ahead. I think over here.
Well, for me, and Bert and I talked about a lot of these things too, because I think that is the mystery. We will never crack that.
That's
We'll
right.
never have it just nailed down where, oh, this isn't 1, 2, and 3 like our minds want. We're too finite. And this is the mystery. And if I have to, in my faith, my sense is, I believe it.
Yeah,
I can't understand it, but I believe it. And
Yeah.
that's a starting point.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of people love to do that. Well, this is how you understand the Trinity, and they come up with all kinds of ways like water, you know, well, you got steam, but that's heresy because, you know, then there isn't a distinction between the three persons. It's just all one, it's still H2O, whether it's in steam or water. So we know it's one substance, but three distinct persons. So all of our ways to try and exactly what you're saying, explain it, have problems. The way you want to come at the Trinity is start with Jesus, who did things, said things, was raised from the dead. And that's what we can understand. And that's what we trust. And so he's one with the Father.
So
We, as humans, we want to try and explain it. And we want to make sure that we don't diminish Jesus below like a sub-God, because that's the problem. That sub-God can't really save us. But God can, but then God can't save us without becoming human. So fully God, fully human, all these things are important, and the Nicene Creed is the best we have, and I think we stick with it. You know, the church took 300 years to kind of put that down.
maybe when we get to heaven, there'll be a class we have to take and Heaven's 101.
I think when we get to heaven, it'll all make sense. It'll be fine. But you know, it's important because this is the difference between Christianity and Islam. Sorry, this isn't a slam against Islam, but Islam believes Jesus was a great prophet. They have a low Christol. They champion Jesus great. Some even believe he might have been raised from the dead, but he's not God. He was a prophet. The Latter-day Saints, Jesus is created being. He is not God the Father. So Latter-day Saints are polytheists. That's why, God bless them, I love my Mormon friends, but when they want to say, oh, we're the same as you as Christians, that's just, whether you have loved ones who are Mormon, God bless you, I have friends that are Mormon, so I'm not, they're in the hands of God, but nonetheless, they're not Christian, not as we understand Christianity. And, so this is just the way it is, but it goes all the way back to this controversy about the Trinity going in the 4th century that the church really worked through. How did we get off on all this? I don't know. Probably the firstborn concept. Christ is the firstborn but again, I think in the New Testament, it's his status. He is of God, and he is the status that he is the name above every name.
Yahweh.
He is Yahweh. And they describe Jesus as the Lord, which is the term used for Yahweh in Greek. So absolutely, Alec. All right,
Let's keep getting out of Egypt.
you want to get back to Egypt, do you?
No, get out.
Well, I guess we got to get out now. All right, so this firstborn thing is interesting, and the redemption thing is interesting. And I'm intrigued by that. So let's keep going. All the firstborn of your animals are males shall be Lord's. Every firstborn donkey, blah, blah. We did that. So you shall redeem. And when it's time you ask your sons, what does it mean? You shall say to him, by a strong hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt from the house of slavery.
Amen.
Amen. And for when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of animals. Therefore I sacrificed to the Lord all the males that first opened the womb, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeemed. So there's the thing that Ethel May said, that they're consecrated via life. They're redeemed. They are not to be killed. But the animals are, and that reminds us of what was necessary to get the people out of slavery. It shall be a mark on your hand or on frontlets. There you go. There's your thing, Gloria, that they would wear. Between your eyes, for my strong hand, the Lord brought us out. By a strong hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt. Okay. I think this concept of redemption is interesting. That the word means buy back or ransom. And we talk about our redemption. So when Jesus does this, you remember, he says, the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. Now, again, scholars argue about what that means, but I think it's pretty straightforward that in some way, shape, or form, he's the ransoming. He's giving himself as a ransom so that we can be bought back. He paid it's a metaphor again for what Jesus did. Paul will talk about redemption as something that's happened. And he uses that term a lot for the significance of what Christ has done for us. I saw a hand somewhere. Yeah, Sharon. Yeah.
Well, redeem, I like that word, because Jesus is our Redeemer.
Yes, I know that my Redeemer lives.
Yeah. So
One of
he
my
said
favorite
that
hymns.
firstborn.
Yeah, and what that means is that it's something that I don't want to admit, that means I'm a slave. And what do we say in our confession sometimes? Start out, I am in bondage or captive to sin. Now, at the same time, because of Christ, I'm also set free, but we say it that way for a reason, that we are stuck and we need a redeemer. Now, a lot of human beings don't want that. I'm fine. I have a few problems, but I'm not that bad,
So God is our Father.
Well, absolutely.
So that's.
He's our, because Jesus gave it to us as his father, as his father and our father, yeah. And if you see Jesus, you've seen the Father. That's the other really powerful thing Jesus says to John. Sorry, Audrey, yeah.
No, just was saying that everything go back to Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we would say that one Lutheran theologian doesn't like us to call it the fall, when Adam and Eve sinned. That's typically what that's referred to, even though it's not said. I don't think in the Hebrew Bible or in the Old Testament it describes it as a fall. One Lutheran theologian, it was actually a rising, it was an uprising. So it's a better term than the fall, like we fell from grace or we fell. But nonetheless, regardless, we would say now we have an old nature that is turned inward and that we've inherited that. Yes. Now, not all Christians believe that though. Baptists don't believe that. Baptists believe that you're fine and until you come to an age of accountability. So we talk about original sin. And so that's another difference between denominations. That's why Baptists that's one reason they don't baptize infants, because the infant doesn't need to be baptized. We would say, well, we're all born children of a fallen humanity. I like that term. That's in our green hymnal. When it comes to baptism, we are born children of a fallen humanity, but in the waters of baptism, we are reborn children of God. So we would say,
In a way that moves us with everybody.
yes,
And not
yes,
just me.
that's right, that's right. Paul, please.
I seem to remember that the idea of grace is tied up with salvation. And so,
Yes.
and to say that you fell from grace is inaccurate because grace didn't exist prior to the fall.
Right.
And because of the fall, we receive grace. Is that?
I think that's helpful. I mean, I wouldn't say that grace didn't exist, but we didn't need it.
Right.
Yes.
And so it was basically a rebellion.
Right, that's right. That's a better term. It's like an uprising,
Yeah.
because we want to be God.
Yeah.
It really wasn't Paul.
Yeah.
It was absolute. I think you're right on. Yeah. Okay, please.
Remember, it was the tree of knowledge that triggered the event, and would you say knowledge is evil? I don't think so. It exposed weakness in us. You know, it's
Yeah.
a divine characteristic, but we couldn't handle it.
The knowledge of good and evil, we couldn't handle it. Knowledge is not evil. The tree was not necessarily evil. God created it. But one way you can work with that in Hebrew is that in essence, it wasn't like they just didn't know what's good, what's wrong, what's right. They knew that. They get to decide what's wrong and right. And that's why they wanted to eat that tree. And that's the evil. Just like money is not evil, but the love of money is evil. So they wanted that knowledge. They wanted, well, what does the snake say to Eve? If you'll do that, you'll be like. Yeah, and then not just knowing, but determining what is evil and what is good. That sounds like, whoops.
God gave us a mind. Why not use it?
I know, that was ironic that came up, huh? Okay, sorry. Why
God
not
gave
use
us
it?
a mind.
Sure,
Why not use it?
yeah, we should. But we just have to be careful about it, because that mind might wanna, go on.
Wander.
Yeah, it might wanna wander, that's right. Yeah, what's the hymn? Prone to wander, volatilely, prone to leave the God I love. But so we wanna use our minds, that's what we're doing right now. They're a gift from God, but we just have to be careful. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, Let's by strong hand, the Lord brought them out. Oh, we're done. We got pillars of cloud and fire. When the Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. Fascinating. I think they're going to want to do that anyway.
Well, we don't do we come to the crossing of the Red Sea?
It's coming, chapter 15, I believe. Oh, 14.
There it is, next week.
Well, we're gonna get to it next week. Come back and I promise. Can I promise? We're gonna get to the parting of the water next week.
See, if they've got 603,000 people to get across, they don't all go at the same time.
Or if we go by that number, 2 million.
Yeah, they're still crossing.
They're still, that'll take a while. Anyway, okay. Hey, this was great as always. Thank you, everybody. Godspeed. Oh, I forgot to press record. I think that's all right, but I got it on Facebook. I got it on Facebook, but that's, so it's fine. Cause she can get it from that. All right. Peace to you. Have a great rest of your day. It's a little chilly out there, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, better than you.
Better than the East Coast.
Yeah.